Welcome back to the channel, and if this is your very first time, I'm Mr. Empower of Mr.EmpowerTV, and today we're going over three major African elections that are defined October 2025: Côte d'Ivoire, Cameroon, and Tanzania. We've all seen the headlines, but we're not here for noise or for narratives. We're here for truth, balance, and opportunity. Because these elections aren't just about who won, they're about what leadership means for Africa's youth, for stability, and for real growth right here at home. So, let's get into it. Cote d'Ivoire is experiencing a massive victory. Celebrations for Ouattara are going on as we speak. In Cameroon, streets are calm as Biya supporters mark another win. And in Tanzania, measured confidence as Samia Suluhu Hassan secures her second term. The global press sees this as continuity, but the people see it as a test. Can steady leadership finally deliver jobs and hope? So let's take a look here at Côte d'Ivoire and the Rally Hafez for Democracy and Peace. We see the winner is President Alassane Ouattara with 89.8% of the votes, with a 50% voter turnout. So when we're seeing the news, we're seeing banned opposition, right? When we put this into legal context, what it actually is several rivals have been disqualified by Constitutional Council, right? For reasons such as embezzlement convictions and administrative ineligibility, right? So when we put this into an economic context for Côte d'Ivoire, they are the world's top cocoa exporter with the growth GDP of 6.5%, right? And the challenges as we speak are urban youth unemployment is as high as 15%. And the government's response is to implement a $2.3 billion infrastructure and agro-industrial plan to increase 200,000 jobs. So another thing is Côte d'Ivoire's economic snapshot. We see that GDP growth is at 6.5%, and their GDP is $88 billion, right? The main exports being cocoa, coffee, and rubber. So that youth workforce, the 16% or 15%, youth workforce unemployment, and 60% of the population under 25, right? So the investment focus is infrastructure, energy, and agribusiness. So the key insights we're looking for is economic growth. It's strong, but job creation must match population growth. In terms of Cameroon, the winner here is President Paul Biya, 92 years young, right, with the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, or CPDM. So the main rival here was Issa Bakari, and he lost with a voter percentage of 35% compared to President Paul Biya's 53.7%. So a little bit about President Biya's background is he has been in the leadership role since 1982. He's currently Africa's longest serving head of state, right? So in terms of security, the country is really peaceful. They had a peaceful election, except in the Anglophone regions, right? Contrary to what we're seeing on the news. So in terms of the economic output, oil and gas is the main exports, right? We've seen in 2025 a growth of 3.8%. So in reality for the youth, unfortunately, over 60% of graduates are unemployed, right? So the government is looking to implement plans to return and invest to keep talent at home, right? So the key points here that we want to see are order preserved, but the next generation is still waiting, on their moment, right? So in terms of Cameroon's economic growth and youth outlook, we see that their GDP is at $47 billion, again, with that 3.8% growth, with the major sectors being oil, gas, agriculture, and telecoms, right? So the youth migration is a rising issue. Skilled immigration to Europe is taking place, right? And we want to minimize that. So the key insights here, again, that we need to focus on entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial incentives and public to private partnerships, right? To again, maintain the order, but transition and youth opportunity are going to be our main focuses here in Cameroon. And in Tanzania, the Party of Revolution is still in power with President Samia Suluhu Hassan confirmed for a second term. So the voter turnout percentage was 62%. And the context here is she's been praised for diplomacy and economic stability, with the concerns being during the election process, there were internet restrictions during the voter process, right? And a few protests in rural areas. So as we see here, the focus is a blue economy expansion and industrial zones such as agribusinesses training for youth, right? So the key point here is that the developmental momentum is real, but it must reach those small businesses and those graduates, right? So let's take a look at Tanzania's economic momentum, right? So we see that GDP growth of 5.5%, with the overall GDP being 80 billion, right? And the sectors are manufacturing, tourism, agriculture, and mining. So the employment needs are to expand vocational and SME programs, right? So the key insights that we see here are consistency and industrial expansion to drive optimism for youth jobs, right? So let's look at the regional comparison here for 2025 before we get into the breakdown. So country, GDP growth, key export, youth employment, challenges, and governance is the 2025 focus. So again, Côte d'Ivoire, Tanzania, and Cameroon all seeing GDP growth. We're looking at these major exports and the need for youth employment. So guys, how does the facts that we've just heard here compare to what we're seeing on many news outlets and those videos on the ground from supporters versus protesters, right? So I think with so much going on in the world right now that there is a contrast between the older generation and the younger generation. We're seeing a lot of protests by the youth, right? And I see it as a result of the lack of jobs, right? And the desire to have needs addressed, right? So we've seen kind of two instances of re-elections and one incumbent or one newly elected leader, and inshallah the promises that these leaders have made will come to fruition, right? So these elections highlight Africa's crossroads between stability and renewal. So in Côte d'Ivoire, the confidence is high. It's time for the growth to reach the streets, not just the stock exchange. In Cameroon, political calm continues, but youth energy demands outlets beyond immigration, right? And in Tanzania, industrial growth is promising, and it could set the tone for regional transformation. So across all three, here's the truth. Democracy is evolving unevenly, but not collapsing. Continuity only matters if it delivers creation, and Africa's youth don't need to flee. We need a reason to stay. So family, that's your power update from Mr. EmpowerTV. 3 elections, 1 message. Leadership stability is a start, but the real work is transforming it into opportunity, right? So drop your thoughts below. Can continuity and creativity move together? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more grounded African insight from Mr. EmpowerTV. And until next time, peace.